On the third day of the 71st Rolex Sydney Hobart yacht race, Jim Clark and Christy Hinz-Clark's Super Maxi Comanche and George David's Rambler 88 battle for the lead in what has been the toughest edition in over a decade. The two yachts crossed Bass Strait in reasonably calm conditions, relishing the respite after a real bashing on the first night, resulting in 32 retirements so far, close to 1/3 of the fleet. Comanche's hopes of finishing the race almost ended on that first night. The yacht suffered damage to the daggerboard and rudder. Skipper Ken Reid was resigned to withdrawing and called the race director. Then, in a key moment, Reid decided they'd come too far to give up and told the race director they would effect repairs and continue racing. But Reid's hopes of winning faded as Rambler 88 overtook the wounded Comanche. Rambler 88 quickly pulled away, only to then suffer almost identical damage to her starboard daggerboard, putting Comanche back in the race for the coveted Line Honours prize. As Comanche rounded the organ pipes, she increased her advantage to almost 50 nautical miles, all but ending Rambler's chances, who'd been marooned in fading breeze. A massive fleet of supporters joined the wounded Comanche as she entered the Derwent River, a notoriously fickle passage to the finish line. Comanche easily maintained her lead in the final stretches to seal victory, crossing the line in just under 2 days and 9 hours. The late arrival did not deter spectators, who turned out in force to cheer in the Americans as they came into Constitution Dock.
I think it's fair to say we got the fastest 100-footer in the world. You saw what it did off the starting line and what it did down that first run, and we were 30 miles ahead when we broke. We love this boat.
There was a bunch of emotions that went on. Pure terror at one stage, excitement, now just total joy and fulfillment. I mean, it's one of the best things I've ever done.
Rambler 88 was expected to cross the line before sunrise, but Ragamuffin 100 is closing fast, despite losing her portside daggerboard. The Tattersalls Cup for the overall winner is still up for grabs, and most of the contenders are still crossing Bass Strait. With lighter winds predicted for tomorrow, skippers and tacticians will be considering all their options heading into the third night. In the morning light of day 4, Ragamuffin 100 and Rambler 88 crept up the Derwent River in very light air. Each tactical decision critical as they stalked each other to the finish. 400 metres from the line, Ragamuffin sailing master David Witt anticipated a wind shift and chose not to jibe away with Rambler 88. Rags was then able to lay the line, overtaking Rambler to secure second place.
You definitely don't have a choice to give up when Sid's on board, so it's part of his makeup, right?
Rambler sailed a brilliant race. For one shining moment, they were the front runners for overall winner and line honours, but then sailed into a large patch of light air, which left them parked off the Tasmanian coast for 5 hours. Another thrilling duel developed between Matt Allen's Ichiban and Rupert Henry's Chinese Whisper. The good friends both hail from the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia and jousted from the Sydney Harbour heads to the twisting finale up the Derwent River, where Chinese Whisper prevailed by just 11 minutes.
We'd stop, they'd catch up, they'd stop, but we could never break the rubber band right to the finish.
Attention now turns to the overall winner. Paul Clitheroe and his TP52 Balance were 7th across the line after Comanche, and were surprised to learn they were in contention for the highly coveted trophy, the Tattersalls Cup.
Obviously we knew we were the lead TP52, but how far behind the other TPs are, and also we've got no idea where guys like last year's winner Roger Hickman is. No idea. Yeah.
After the race start in Sydney, Balance had a solid 6-hour run down the New South Wales coast before the infamous first night southerly hit them.
It's like being put in a prison cell that's been thrown up and down over 3, 4, 5 metre waves. So basically the boat is leaping and crashing. You're always worried the rig is going to come down. The physical toll on crew is quite extraordinary.
The crew came through with the usual bumps and bruises, while the boat's mainsail shredded below the first reef. Scraping together every last piece of repair tape, the crew patched their sail back together as best they could. As tiny 34-footer Quick Point Azuro remains a realistic challenger to Balance, another challenging night of racing awaits before the winner of the Tattersalls Cup can be determined.